So, since it is 10 o'clock, massively punctual, he is like right on time. I mean, Bart is like right there. Bart is right there. And so, because Bart is right there, we welcome in Bart.
I don't know if my mic is set up right, so sorry if the audio is not.
No,
Okay.
no, it's all good. You're good. You're there. So there you go. Well, so where would you like? Oh, first off, I want to start. What outfit or outfits did you decide for the new gig, sir? For those that will follow media.
Well, I'm working from home today, obviously. So,
Yes, but I mean,
soccer jersey today.
Yeah, but you were still scouting, so I want to know what.
Oh no, I wore all of those last week. That's what I wore.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Having some fun.
Yes, Abby says you sound better than last week, so it sounds
like.
like.
Oh, great. Okay, thanks, Abby.
So you've got the long microphone now and the long extendo cord.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is actually hooked up or not. I don't know. A new computer, so hopefully it's working.
Okay. So we've got reffing down here. We've got the national team. We've got the reggae girls. Anything else on your plate? Probably toward the end as we get in toward Prem and Proper. We're probably talking some Arsenal for you at 10:30-ish. Where, sir, would you like to start our number 2?
Well, first off, let me just say that West Virginia men's soccer is on to the College Cup. So if anyone wants to send me a bunch of money so I can make that trip, that would be great. buymeacoffee.com/soccer4us-pod. That's awesome. Right now,
man, I get there.
Right now, I currently do have tickets to the championship match. So hopefully everything goes well there. And I'm in Louisville on Monday. I'll still have time to be on the show with you that morning.
Yes.
As Abby points out, Florida State, an undefeated Florida State team, did get into the playoffs, and they are playing for a national championship tonight at, I believe, 6 o'clock. Is that kickoff on one of the ESPN channels?
What? Yes, one of the mega number of networks that are attached to the 4-letter. We'll have those changes.
Did anyone have any referee down here questions? Because I didn't feel like there was anything super crazy this weekend.
I know for a change. It was.
Yeah, I was looking at it last night, and this morning I was like, wait, I don't see anything that like was a massive mess up.
Well, but since the last time you were here, I think that we have it the discussions about Scott McTominay and what is a handball and what isn't, and UEFA guidelines being stronger or different than those in the Premier League, and so. What happened? I guess Newcastle PSG would be one for me because of different guidelines. And this might end up being more of a philosophical question more than anything else about different entities with different interpretations and having to be prepared for both when you go into a situation.
Yeah, and that's definitely true, right? So you think about each competition has their own guidelines to begin with, right? They all have their own processes and procedures. So even at the grassroots level, I deal with 4 to 5 leagues that all have different substitution rules, right?
Okay.
That's not quite the same, but my point is MLS has different processes and procedures that referees have to follow than UEFA. UEFA and the Premier League have different processes and procedures, but also you have different ways of interpreting the laws of the game, and not vastly different, but think of it more as standards that we have. So you see this sometimes in college versus professional when we're talking about maybe a pass interference call or possibly a holding on a offensive lineman, right? You may have certain things that a referee crew or referees at this level are told, hey, we don't want to emphasize this, or we don't want to call things like this. So for the handball, you are looking at possibly different, I don't want to say standards necessarily is probably not the word to use there, but different levels of severity. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Especially when it comes to VAR, right? Where the Premier League loves to use VAR to re-referee everything, it seems. A lot of, sane soccer competitions don't want to use VAR as something that is re-refereeing a situation. So when we are looking at a handball specifically, a clear and obvious error is, clear and obvious, right? So maybe a handball it needs to be clear and obvious, and there are certain standards of, did they make their body bigger? Where exactly on the arm did it hit them? Remember, anything above the armpit basically is allowable. So those are different instructions that we've been sent down from higher up, and it does change. So you do have to kind of adapt. But I would also say UEFA tries to normalize it so that all of their member federations can use a better standard, right? Or a more consistent standard. But we do have the Premier League that decides that they're just always different and no better, even though they repeatedly show that they kind of don't get it right. Also, breaking news, John, drop that sounder.
Okay, hang on. See, it's like, I was like, man.
I know, I'm sorry.
Because I was looking at the breaking news myself, and I'm like, oh, okay, so here we go. It's clear 10 o'clock. It is officially option exercised for Atlanta United. So we have the return of Spider-Man. So Spidey senses were correct by all of us this morning. But the most important question in all of this, how long did it take the Atlanta United social media team to get the bottle to land properly?
I know.
How many takes did it take for that to actually land on its base? That's the biggest thing. So, not really a difficult one, but Shande Silva's option picked up by Atlanta United. So we'll have a full preseason with Shande Silva on the left-hand side. And, I think that, Shande Silva came out of the blocks well, and then I think he started to press, especially as the urgency for Atlanta United continued there later in the year. But no, you got 7 and 16, Shande Silva. Very, very cool that option was picked up. Was that the breaking news sounder, sir?
That was breaking news sounder. Congratulations.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, it's a Monday, man. I can pick up pretty much anything.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so the McTominay one, I think a lot of folks were sitting there going, yes, no, and then the Tino Livramento handball for Newcastle inside the box, against PSG, and it's like, look, we talked about it late last week. It's like, look, you've got to be prepared for all these different kinds of situations.
Yeah.
And how difficult is it for you as an official to sit there? You mentioned how you have all these different locations with their different rules and guideposts. How difficult is it for you to keep everything straight?
Oh, I'm lucky that most assigners that I have that know that we're doing certain, especially when it comes to like ECNL to SCCL to DPL to NAL to NPL, like there's all these, leagues that have different rules, and they're usually good about giving some sort of like, hey, here on our dashboard of our assigning software, they'll usually post the rules. But it is confusing, and I've considered even making myself a little like cheat sheet for timing rules, for substitution rules, because there are similarities, but there's a lot of differences among all of them. So, for example, John, Georgia Youth Soccer, specifically to substitutions, we'll go with that,
okay.
Only allows substitutions. So, first off, FIFA and IFAB, right, and any major competition at the professional level, we're used to substitutions are able to be made at any stoppage of play. We know that, right? Yes. That's in the laws of the game. However, Georgia Soccer decided that no, people cheat. And by people, I mean someone made this rule because they got mad they lost because someone subs like this. But Georgia Soccer only allows for substitutions on your possession throw-in, after a goal kick, after a goal, or if that player is injured.
Okay.
For reasons. I don't know why. First, I think people did that for time wasting, and I think that's just stupid. I think it's the most draconian, dumb thing that Georgia Soccer does. So that's Georgia Youth Soccer. So that's some competitions, recreational, select soccer. There's also the Georgia Premier League. So those are the rules we follow there. But at the same club on the same day, I'll have that. I'll have also another league, ECNL maybe is a good example, where you can sub on any stoppage of play, but you only get 7 substitutions per half. And if a player leaves that half, they can't re-enter.
Okay.
Also, Georgia soccer have pretty standard timing rules of 13s and 14s are 35 minutes, 15s, 16s are 40 minutes, and then 17s and up are 45. Well, at ECNL, it goes 13s are 35, 14s, 15s are 40, are 40, and then 16s and up are 45. So it changed, like little things like that change. And so that's just an example of a Premier League official maybe used to looking at a handball in a very specific way, especially when it comes to VAR. A UEFA official, and again, where they use the same, do look at things slightly differently. And, that problem does arise for, in the, I forget where the official is from for that Manchester United match. They're from a different country than who refereed that Newcastle match, and it will be different based on how the referee looks at it. It's hard to switch from I'm used to calling it this way to I need to call it this way, and that's true for me if I'm looking at how do I judge fouls or stuff like that at an ECNL level versus a Georgia recreational soccer level, right? So, some parents don't like that I call certain things at one level, and it's like, well, that's what I'm used to calling at this high level because we do want them to play a very clean and professional game. At the rec level, we're just happy they show up with shin guards.
Uh,
It is.
all those rules make my head hurt, man.
Yeah, they are confusing. They are complicated.
All right, I got a couple of other things. I mean, I mentioned Alvis Powell this morning about more stupidity down here, and we'll get into abuse and stupidity in a second. When it comes to playing advantage, what goes through your mind when you are trying to process, okay, I'll blow the whistle immediately, I'll let advantage go? What are your parameters mentally when it comes to doing something like that? It's a follow-up reason that I'm asking.
Well, if you ask a certain coach at a certain club I referee for, he'll say that I never give advantage because he yells at me every game for it. And I think he has a very different connotation and understanding of what advantage is than I do, because I do give advantage. I try. Most referees will try to pause, give a beat to see if the ball squirts away or goes to a teammate. But just being in possession is not advantage, right? We need to see some sort of attacking play possibly develop. So a ball going backwards, probably not a good time to call advantage. If a ball goes sideways, even maybe not an advantage. So, it's also hard when we're looking at the play, right? And there's a whole bunch of players in front of us doing all these off-ball movements. Well, I can't see that if I'm looking at, the right sideline and there's a foul on, say, the right back, right, as he's about to try to kick a ball to the left winger.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this play here. I can't see that the left winger and the forward are making these, diverging runs that are going to lead to a chance on goal. I can't see that. But I can look at the foul here and then I kind of try to turn my head. And if I don't see something happening immediately, well, why would I give advantage just to have other problems arise? So it is, something that all referees struggle with, because I think our idea of advantage, and this is where playing the game comes in to help, because, I have an idea of what advantage should be. But coaches seem to always disagree, but that's because they have a different view of the game, literally and philosophically. There's also times where we don't give advantage because of a serious foul that needs either some sort of discipline, right? Either booking or some sort of conversation. Possibly, it's not in a great position to actually give an advantage. So there's a lot of different factors you consider, but usually you try to wait a beat before you blow that whistle. However, sometimes, like I had a game this past weekend where I probably could have played on for an advantage, but there was a really harsh foul on a kid. And I was like, no, we're going to stop this right now. It was also not a great advantage. It was going to be like a ball going toward the corner flag. So not like true advantage, right? But a guy just got taken out on the sideline. His teammate kept the ball, but I was like, no, we're not doing this. We need to address the situation right here, because if I don't, we're going to have problems. And that's the other thing where parents get really involved in this. And they, as I always say, parents are the worst thing that happened to youth sports. They all want the foul to be called immediately whenever there's the slightest bit of touch on someone. Mm-hmm. And as an AR, I usually caution parents and say, we have to have a second to get the whistle to our mouth. We can't just yell foul. We have to put that whistle to our mouth. And
it's not like playing pickup hoops where you sit there.
Right.
Foul. Yeah, you fouled me. No.
And parents they can yell foul as quickly as anyone. I think they anticipate yelling foul before the game even starts. They're just ready. Yeah. Whereas, we have to see the foul, go, is that a foul? Is there an advantage? Okay, now I'll blow my whistle.
Okay. The reason I ask, halftime, by the way, with Bart Keeler from Soccer for USPOD at Bartimus Prime 19 on the 280 character app. Reason that I bring up advantage is because this morning, and this probably could have been a part of Prim and Proper, but the FA has been urged to launch an immediate disciplinary investigation into Erling Haaland's tirade at Simon Hooper and subsequent outburst on social media. Hooper appeared to allow advantage, but then pulled play back for a foul when Haaland sent Jack Grealish forward in the 95th when the match was tied at 3.
So I saw this pop up on my timeline too, and I don't remember watching this in person because Tottenham was playing and I was watching them and they were losing. And I was like, well, I'm not going to make Tottenham make me mad because I hate them as it is. So I stopped watching it, and lo and behold, they came back and got a point. So thank you, Tottenham. This was a weird situation. This goes back to that whole what is an advantage thing. So there was the referee, you could kind of saw a foul on Haaland in the very initial kind of buildup of the sequence, right? You can see him kind of put his whistle to his mouth, and then he says, oh, there is an advantage, right? The ball, it was a very quick, short, back, long type of, we do this in practice almost every day. And the referee sees that and goes, oh, nope, play on. What appears to have happened, and we don't know, and this is what I would like to hear the comms on, is it's possible that Grealish was actually in an offside position. And in this case, we don't want to penalize that team who was fouled by giving them an advantage and then going, oh, but you were offside. Well, that sucks for you. So in an effort to not have that controversy, because as you know, especially in a situation like that, we're not going to put the flag up and call offside immediately, right, John? We're going to wait.
Yes.
There was probably some cons of like, I think he's offside or he's offside. And we've heard this before where we go, okay, he's offside, but you can hear the comms. Okay, but we have to continue to let play go just in case something happens. So in this case, it was he's offside. Okay, we'll blow the whistle for the foul. Again, maybe I don't think it was a definitive offside, so that may not be the best explanation, but it seems like that was kind of what happened. Because otherwise, it doesn't make sense to have called the foul there. But it's also possible that the referee just messed up, and that sucks, but that doesn't mean you get to have a full-on investigation, because when a player misses a shot, we don't go on and replay the whole match because they had a little mess up. This was not a thing that took away a goal either. This was just something that happened literally at midfield. So I don't understand the hate that Man City has for this referee right now. And also, I'll just remind Man City that they have dodged every financial fair play allegation. So if you want some sort of sympathy from anyone, you're not going to find too much of it.
Okay.
But point is, it could have been a mistake. Yes. It could have been that he should have allowed advantage. However, should have, could have, and did are all three different situations, right?
Yeah.
He didn't. He called it back. And I think it may have been because of the offside, the potential offside on Grealish, and you'd rather just give them that free kick than wait for everything to happen just for an offside to happen, and then nothing good comes of it anyway.
Okay. As a public service, I have posted the article from the Telegraph where they have done it in still photographs with all of these issues. and so let's so once again we'll walk through it really quickly. And Maddie's already in the green room. This is how fired up she was. She's already in the green room and she's listening to what's going on. So let's walk through it from our friends at the Telegraph. So Holland's fouled, and it's an awful challenge from Emerson.
Yeah, it's a legitimate foul. Like
it's an awful. I mean, he goes in both sets of studs up. I mean, literally, it is both legs aimed right at the calf. So Emerson Royal comes in sliding. Yeah, it's an awful challenge. So Royal gets up, and he's running back. And so you're saying, okay, Simon Hooper is debating blowing the whistle at that point. Holland is down, and Simon Hooper's debating blowing the whistle. Holland gets up, then Hooper's like, okay, advantage. So, signaling advantage. Grealish is then released, and then Hooper goes free kick. So Holland's pass sends Grealish, and then Hooper blows his whistle to call the play back, reneging on the appeared decision. And then, Grealish is through on goal. You don't know if he's going to put it in the back of the net or not. But it looked like there was a fantastic pass, and Grealish was off and running behind everything. So after that, so Grealish is through on goal. Asked if after the game if the Spurs got away with that one, Ange Postecoglou says, yeah, I guess so, mate, in his post. So then Holland then is basically going up to Simon Hooper and going, F off. And then on social media, and Holland is going after Spurs staff at this point. Lo Celso knocks into him as they're leaving the pitch. Holland is still going at it. Then it's Brennan Johnson. And then on his social media, Holland on the 280 character app goes WTF. So that's where we are. So Holland goes off, and then he goes off on the 280 character app. I mean, literally, it was anybody that was within 5 meters was going to catch it from Erling Haaland. But I've posted the stills, the walkthrough that the Telegraph did, and it looks like, but once again, video versus stills, and there's still some gap space there, but it looks like Spurs kind of got away with one.
I kind of agree, right? I think it's okay to say the referees didn't get this one completely right. However, this does not take away a goal. And I like that's the thing that Holland and Man City they don't really have a defense. It's not like Hooper took away a goal from them. He took away a potential opportunity, right?
Yes.
That's all this was. There's no guarantee that Grealish, A, gets in on goal, B, scores a goal, or C, does anything productive with the ball that he's played. So I understand the frustration. I can only give you why I think maybe they did call the foul eventually. But at the end of the day, this did not result in the denial of a goal. It denied the possibility of a goal scoring opportunity. And again, this happens all within the center circle, basically.
Yeah.
So it's not a given that anything was going to come from this outside of possibly a ball going to Grealish.
Matty Cruz, Prim and Proper, the review coming up in another couple of minutes here on SDH on a Monday. I did want to wrap up with you, sir, discussing the U.S.-China friendly.
Yeah.
In Fort Lauderdale in front of a packed house of just under 8,800. And it was 3-0, and Twyla Kilgore continuing to get her marching orders from Emma Hayes, and the substitute teacher continues to have things going well. Takeaways from a 3-0 win over China, other than nobody got hurt.
Well, I think the biggest takeaway was the starting lineup, and specifically the formation. It wasn't necessarily always a 4-2-2-2, but it was a formation change and just a slight difference of what we were seeing. And again, I think this is something that USWNT fans were frustrated at Blackco for, is the insistence to continue to play a 4-1-2-3, right? With that deeper midfielder and dual attacking midfielders, and then 3 strikers up front. So that is the biggest takeaway. Is already one game into the Emma Hayes era, we have an actual change in formation. Now, that said, Emma Hayes, if I could say the one criticism of her,
Sure.
is she isn't beholden to any sort of formation. Some people see that as a positive, and it can be. However, she tinkers and she changes a lot. And, that can possibly be a negative. It has gotten her into trouble in the past when it comes to big games where she changes something or doesn't change something. But I think overall that was a positive to just see that we tried something slightly different. We saw Sophia Smith as kind of a more natural center striker, but I also really liked her and Trinity up top working together. I thought that actually, again, is something that it would have been nice to have seen, especially given the fact that, during the World Cup, especially, Alex Morgan just wasn't a productive striker. And that in itself is the positive. I don't think if there's anything else you can really take away from it. China's not a bad team. They're not a good team. And you won 3-0.
Okay. Now the last thing, once again, I started kickoff this morning with Elvis Powell and Reggae Girls. You can go one of two directions here. Do you want to talk about Elvis Powell, or do you want to talk about the Reggae Girls not making it out of the group stage and then coming out publicly and still discussing the fact that apparently not all of the players have been given their financial remunerations from the World Cup, which to me is just it's out of control.
I don't really feel like we need to talk too much about that because you just said it. It's out of control and it's unfair to the Reggae Girls. I don't, I also find it quite funny that they let go of their manager and now they're not qualifying for W Gold Cup the way they should.
Randy's freed.
Yeah. Serves the Jamaican Federation, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's talk about Elvis Powell.
Sure.
Specifically all of FC Cincinnati, and they've constructed a story, a narrative in their head that the referees hate them, which is quite funny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and I mentioned it in hour number one. To me, it seems like in Cincinnati, it has become in direct proportion. The amount of anger and finger pointing outward is to the immediate amount of success that they have had inward. So when things go right, they go very right. When things go wrong, oh my God, the sky is falling. Can you believe this? The whole world's against us, that kind of a thing. And then you have fans who do stupid-ish because they're that mad, because their star defender, who is, oh my God, and that's how I'll phrase it, the benefactor of T-shirts that have no business being sold, but that's just me. The cause and effect relationship of missing a player who's a hothead means that, okay, yeah, we can lash out and be stupid.
And that's what I'm talking about, is these Cincinnati fans have constructed this narrative and it boils over. And I don't think that the own goal was particularly egregious. Does that make sense, John? I don't think it was a normal, oh crap, it hit him because of a good cross and things that happen in the box type of stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he headed the ball in from a corner kick. I think who had one of those? Hyungmin Son had that. It wasn't one of those where it's like, come on, man. It wasn't anything to that nature. So I think the problem is you had a fan base that was you had a fan base that was so enraged by something, so feeling like they were put out and put off by an event that a stupid event earlier. That rage boils over to their player that doesn't, for all intents and purposes, has been pretty good for them all season. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, was the man who the ball happened to hit off of before it went into the goal.
Yeah.
But if you want to blame anyone, blame Cincinnati and their team, the rest of the team, for not being able to defend, or be thankful that Wilfred Nancy didn't start Julian Gressel, because you wouldn't be up 2-0 to begin with. So it's just this narrative they built in their head that somehow everything is going against them spills over and boils over to a player who didn't really do anything all that wrong.
No.
And that's really unfortunate because, again, this is a team that won the Supporters Shield, right?
They've won the appetizer plate.
Yeah.
Bart, that means everything.
And they still made the conference final. So it's not like they got bounced in the first round either. Like, this is a good team who had a good season. It just sucks that they were the unfortunate, recipient of an own goal, and Albus Powell, unfortunately, again, it just happened to come off of him. A lot of defenders have been in that situation and scored own goals. They don't get racist abuse.
Yeah. So stupidity down here, hour number 1, and wrapping up hour number
2.
2.
Cincy fans have shown themselves very poorly the past week and a half. Let's just put it that way. And I think it's shameful on many fronts how they've how they did not y'all have been wooden spoon people for 3 years. Y'all forget yourselves. You have one good season, all of a sudden you think you deserve all this stuff. Stop.
What's the latest with Soccer for US POD?
Well, hopefully we'll record Wednesday. I think that's Wednesday night after the women's game, Wednesday or Thursday, one of those two.
One of those.
Give some thoughts, and we'll probably spend a little less time on the actual games themselves and talk more like what we talked about today. What did we see from the Emma Hayes?
Exactly.
Not focusing on the game itself, but focusing on the big picture of what did we see from Emma Hayes? What do we expect now? And I think the other question, John, and it's in my show notes as I go, the 10 players who were not part of this squad, who were part of that World Cup squad.
Right.
What do we think? Because there are some players on there that I'm not sure what the future holds for them. Some of them, I think that I'm pretty certain I know what the future holds for them because of their age and just where they are with their career. But some of them, we'll see. We will see.
Yep. All right, so it's Bartimus Prime 19 at Soccer for US POD with a little bit of reffing down here. We're good to learn about advantage today and what goes through folks' minds, and another round of stupidity.
It's tough. Advantage is tough. That's all I'll say.
It is, and so since it's the handoff on the hot tag, we'll bring Maddie in as we get ready for Prem and Proper the review. So we have.
Hi, Maddie. Bye, Maddie.
Arsenal and Newcastle on the same screen at the same time.
Yeah. One of us is top of the table, so.
Listen, I'm just happy that we won against Man United this weekend. I'm just content.
I'm thankful for that as well. So
you're welcome then.
I see how this works with you too. All right, Bart, we'll catch up with you and looking for Soccer for US POD later in the week.